Hey everyone, Jeff Klubeck here, and I am a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Yes, y'all. It's time once again for another ResultsLeader.fm, the only show on the internet dedicated to the men and women who are getting results for their clients. Welcome to another edition. If you've been here before, then you know what we're about. Results, baby. Results. And today I've got an action-packed, story-filled double episode. And you know that I like to keep a tight show. I like to keep us at 22 minutes. This one's going to go double that because my guest is an amazing storyteller, painting beautiful visual pictures on how we can live a life with more integrity. And one of his taglines is motivation plus accountability equals results. So the man knows all about results. Today, Mr. Jeffrey Klubeck joins us on ResultsLeader.fm. Let's jump in. Jeffrey, welcome to the show. Are you ready to rock this thing?
Absolutely. Is this thing ready to be rocked?
You know it. We're rock-worthy. So let's give our listeners a quick win. What book have you given most as a gift?
It's sad to say this in humble terms, but my own. The book that I've given most as a gift is The Integrity Game, which came out earlier this year in April. Prior to that, I had given out as a gift, Get a Clue in 52. Those are the two my own. Those are the ones that come to mind. But other than my own, The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. It's a classic, and it's broken down into three categories: discipline, love, and grace. And from a personal and professional growth, spiritual growth perspective, I treat it as like biblical. That's how I regard it in my life. And as far as books are concerned, one of the greatest gifts I can give someone.
Excellent. Now it's time to tell a story. Tell us a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
Wow. Okay. Well, it was the worst economy in story form. Once upon a time, it was the worst economy since the Great Depression. It was around 2007, and here in America, people were losing their houses and mortgages and foreclosures and all kinds of good stuff. I had been coming out of a 10-month period of being Mr. Mom with my firstborn son, supporting my wife. My wife, opposites attract, so I'm entrepreneurial and she's more corporate. So I was teaching classes at the community college, and I formed a C Corp. I imagined myself as a consultant, and I got a real estate license all in between the naps that my little baby was taking. And I was marketing myself as a real estate agent. I would go out and I would hand out two cards. One was the real estate card where, I hung my license at my buddy's place. My buddy's a broker. And the other one said, Get a Clue. It was the clip art with the guy holding the light bulb, right? And it said, need some ideas, get a clue. I had no idea what I was doing. This is the mistake part of it, right? And I went to a real estate event. I handed out the two cards. The guy says to me, oh, you're a coach? And I postured, right? I'm like, coach? What do you mean coach? Look at the card. It says consultant. I had made $0 and 0 cents at that point as a consultant, but I was still posturing. And then I went, what's a coach? Hang on, what's a coach? And he started telling me, right, like, oh, and he rattled off all of these names of personal professional growth, all the legends, from Brian Tracy to Tony Robbins to Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and all of the classic people. And the only name I recognized was Tony Robbins. So that's what I was like. I had that feeling inside, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody, real estate agents and mortgage brokers and life insurance professionals and financial advisors and estate planning attorneys, they aren't hiring consultants, but they were hiring coaches. These life service professionals. So I'm like, man, maybe I need to learn what this is all about. I got introduced to a coaches trainer, and I was convinced, hey, if I learned coaching, I could add the rest of my skills to it and probably be good at it. And so I went ahead and I enrolled in a coaches training program. My first one, I put it on a credit card, which means I paid more money for it than it was actually worth because of the interest and the balances and the stress of the time. My oldest son was under 2 years old. We're living in a 1,250 square foot house with my desk in the bedroom, and the house was so small you had to go outside to change your mind. And my wife comes home. I'm like, honey, I signed up for this coach. You did what? like the piercing of her voice was piercing my eardrums. And you did what I'll never forget it. And the mistake part of it is that not that like the belief in myself, not the vision that I had, but there was no way I was going to be able to explain that to Marianne. I knew what a coaching was. I just had the conversation with the guy. I learned what it was. I visualized, I know who I am, but to explain it to her. So the good part of this story is that my wife and I, we trust each other. She wants to make a decision. She's got my support 100%. If I want to make a decision, I got her support. Even though she said, "You did what?" It pierced my eardrums. And I felt my marriage was on the line if I didn't learn how to make money as a coach. You see where this is going, right? So now I'm in the coaches training and they're telling me that I should be able to enroll anybody in coaching inside of 45 minutes if you just follow this script. And I'm looking at the script. And first of all, I don't like scripts. I like to speak from the heart and conversational. So scripts are inauthentic to me. So never mind that I didn't like the script, but I was one of the best students in the training and they would give me leads and I'd try to follow this script and enroll people in coaching. And I realized, wait a second, this is your second session, your third session. They were giving me the people they couldn't enroll. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah. They didn't sign up.
Okay. I'm in the training learning how to enroll anybody in coaching inside of 45 minutes. And I'm such a good student. I'm showing up to the sessions. I'm doing my homework. I'm listening to my audios. I'm doing my team coaching sessions and submitting my reporting. And I'm doing everything because I believe if I'm the best student in this training, that I'm just 8 weeks away from being able to make money as a coach and they'll assign clients to me. Well, what I learned was it's eat what you kill. And they weren't going to assign anything to me unless they couldn't enroll them themselves. And, the good news is that they were giving me leads before I completed the training. The bad news is that was out of integrity. And not by, I'm not saying they were malicious or bad people, but if the training says enroll anybody inside of coaching inside of 45 minutes, and I'm doing a complimentary session with somebody and they say to me, "No, you're actually my third coach." I've already had 2 complimentary sessions with Coach A and Coach B. And Coach A and Coach B were my head coaches. So they're the people I'm supposed to be looking up from, learning from, and they couldn't enroll somebody. And now let's see if Klubeck can do it, right? And the first couple of sessions, of course, just like any other coach that struggles with this, I tried to follow the script. And I realized the person probably heard it in my voice. This is inauthentic. This is not genuine. This is some snake oil sales kind of technique in here. I like where we're trying to build rapport and figure out what the person wants different in their life, but I don't like to find the wound, turn the knife, pour salt into the wound and pain them and guilt them into breaking out a credit card and pressure them and bully. I didn't like any, like, wow, this is really, so, and now I'm like, oh my God, my marriage is on the line. I promised my wife that I was 8 weeks away from making money as a coach and I'm starting to doubt this stuff. And that was like, that's a long story, right? But that's where I was like, I remember waking up at 3:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it hit me. It's got to be 2 sessions instead of 1. It has to be 2. I can't do 1 session, especially not 45 minutes. I need like up to 30 minutes just to build the kind of rapport I want to build. Then I got to like get honest answers to tough questions about how their life needs to be different. Then I need to figure out like how bad they want it to be different if they're willing to do something about it. And then what I realized, little pink spoons, Baskin Robbins here in the United States, right? Little pink spoons. It's proven throughout history, if you give somebody a risk-free sample of something, they're more likely to adopt it, buy it, move forward, especially with a new innovation, right? A new idea, product, service, way of doing or being. I studied this in college on my master's thesis, Diffusion of Innovations, right? Where if you can increase trialability, which is the ability to try something risk-free, then you could expect rate of enrollment or rate of adoption to increase. So what hit me was a huge piece of the coaching, a huge ingredient of coaching is accountability, right? And now I profess motivation plus accountability equals results, right? Or if I get you engaged, get you motivated, and hold you accountable, you're going to get better results. And it dawned on me that they weren't getting a little pink spoon of coaching if I only gave them 1 session. They weren't test driving the car. They were looking at the car. They might even be sitting in the car, but they're not test driving it without accountability. Are you tracking on this?
Oh, yeah.
So I decided that I was going to take the first session, 45 minutes to an hour, just to get them to commit to something at the end of that session, and then offer a second session on the caveat that I had permission to hold them accountable. Then in the second session, I would give them the experience of being held accountable and then transition into an enrollment conversation once I knew they had a complete experience of what coaching with me would really be like, right? But before, what I was learning was just commission breath sales stuff, masquerading as coaching or masquerading as a comp session. So I began to offer 2 comp sessions. It's up to 2, then it's up to you. It's up to 2, then you'll know what to do. It's up to 2, then maybe we're through. But what ended up happening is it's up to 2 and people got a clue. So I started enrolling people in coaching using the 2 comp session process. And what's beautiful about it is there's a lot of coaches out there that struggle with the very thing I'm talking about right now. They don't know how to get out of the coaching and into an enrollment conversation, or they start with an enrollment conversation. They never give good coaching, or they start to give good coaching. They coach the first thing that moves and they stay in coaching and never transition to an enrollment conversation. So I call it ED, enrollment dysfunction, right? And a lot of coaches struggle with this, right? But on the dark end of it, it's like the person says, well, we're coming up on time, 45 minutes, and I'm not done with my process yet. So how about we do another session? And they begin to offer more sessions in a bottomless pit of free coaching, hoping that they'll get results for the person, and the person will refer people to, like, oh, I'll just coach you for free. And then when you start getting success, you'll refer people to me because you'll be, and now the person's in coaching to help the coach rather than themselves. And it's all, trying to build a mansion on top of quicksand is what I'm getting at. Does this make sense? So there's so many other reasons why I developed the 2 comp session system, but it gave me a boundary. I could say, look, if you don't enroll in coaching after 2 sessions, no hard feelings. See ya. And now I protect myself. So yeah, I remember the same guy that referred me into coaching, the guy that said, oh, you're a coach, the guy that inspired me and got me into it, Brian Trachel. I remember telling him, I'm like, hey, I figured it out. I'm going to do up to 90 minutes for a first session and then a second follow-up session for an hour. And that's it. He's like, 2.5 hours? How can you afford to give away 2.5 hours for free? What if they don't enroll and all this other stuff? I'm like, that's okay. I think I know what I'm doing here. I've developed at least 7 other reasons than what I've shared, why it's so effective, why it's powerful, why it's genuine, why it's authentic, why it's a real, like Rocky Road ice cream. It's chocolate ice cream with nuts, marshmallows, and pieces of chocolate chip, right? But if you give a little pink spoon and there's no marshmallows, nuts, or chocolate chip, it's just the chocolate ice cream. You're not tasting Rocky Road. You're tasting chocolate ice cream. So when the person gives the little pink spoon, it's got to be a representative sample. And this is the big mistake that coaches are making out there, is that their complimentary coaching sessions are not giving people a real sample of what coaching is really like. And then the other mistake that they're making is when they try to give a real sample of coaching is really like, they don't have boundaries and transitions to get into an enrollment conversation. They don't know how to protect themselves from coaching down into a rabbit's hole and actually having a business mind about this. Like, this is my process. It's up to 2, and then it's up to you. So that's a long story. But I went from my marriage is on the line to becoming a world-class coach by learning how to win the game of enrollment. And I woke up in the middle of the night and it dawned on me. So there's the story.
Man. All right. There was a lot there. So yeah. I think I can move a couple spots and ask you, what are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
I don't know about bad. I don't necessarily believe in bad or good or right or wrong. But I will tell you that I do believe that there's conflicting success principles, right? Like perhaps you've heard time is money.
Yeah.
You've probably also heard the patience is a virtue.
Of course. I got kids.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. Right. I got 3 that I know of. And perhaps you've heard, I love that you're laughing at my jokes because this personal professional growth stuff is hard enough. I try to be jovial and silly about it, right? But here's the other thing, right? Perhaps you've heard that if you never quit, you never lose.
Yeah.
Maybe you've also heard you better know when to cut your losses.
How's that work, right?
So I'm not going to say worst piece of advice or bad piece of advice. I'm going to say for every piece of advice, there's a heads to that tails or a tails to that heads or a flip side or a conflicting success principle. It's what are we focused on? Whichever one we're focused on might make the most sense to us in the moment, right? So, at the biggest, there's some ones that come to mind. The riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches, right? Pick something and focus. So I think that's important, right? Focus is more important than intelligence, and you want to be clear on your messaging. But a lot of coaches that are starting out or service providers that are starting out, they need to cast a wider net because they need business, right? So riches are in the niches. The advice is to get somebody to get down and get specific, where I would tweak that and say, what's the biggest umbrella that you can call your niche? That's still a niche, where I'm a this type of person or I'm a that type of person, but it's still a broad enough umbrella where you could capture a lot of different types of assignments, right? So for example, I don't like to call myself a coach, right? Because that would niche me. Because if I'm a coach, now how can I provide training? How can I provide consulting? How can I deliver a keynote if I just called myself a coach? And if I call myself a coach and I just call myself a sales coach, then how could I ever do communication coaching? Or if I call myself a marketing coach, how can I ever do relationship coaching? Or if I ever so like for me, I'm communication coach. If I even call myself a coach, I want to say I'm a communication coach. How's that for a niche? Communication pervades everything. So that's one. Riches are in the niches, but you need to cast a wide enough net to build a business. And to make yourself eligible, you need to see yourself in a way where you have the command of the problems that you solve and all the different ways that you solve them, and not get caught up in one thing that it prevents you from really making the impact that you're capable of making. In the coaching world, it's like actually code of ethics stuff where they say keep arm's length relationship. One of the pieces of advice is don't get too intimate, don't break the wall or whatever with your clients, right? I say screw that. I love my clients, right? I love them. I consider them friends. I want to, take like if we're not willing to be vulnerable with our clients, how can we expect them to be vulnerable with us? So sure, I'm vulnerable if we build a rapport. Sure, I might have to put this hat on when we're talking about this and a different hat on when we're talking about that. But, the way I see it is that you may hire me for coaching today, this quarter, this year, but in that relationship, we're going to get to know each other so well. We're going to develop a love for each other that's going to last us a lifetime, whether I'm still your coach or not. And, there's people that have been with me over a decade, because of that approach. So I think that, my 3 pillars in my approach to doing what I do is engagement, motivation, and accountability. And each of them breaks down with sub pieces that make up, right? So I want to get people engaged. I want to get them motivated, and I want to hold them accountable. But those 3 pieces, what holds those 3 pieces together is love. I absolutely love every human on the planet, even the people that annoy me. I love them to death, right? And I'm willing to be vulnerable so that, what's the definition? Back to The Road Less Traveled, the book that you asked me about, right? It teaches that love is not possession or ownership or control or you understand, or, if you love me, you'll take out the trash right now. That's not love, right? Love is the willingness to be vulnerable for either our own or another's growth. So that's my approach. It's hard to sell love, but underneath it all, that's the secret sauce, is love is the adhesive. My clients are going to experience my willingness to be vulnerable. I'm not going to be rigid. I'm not going to hide behind a contract. I have terms and conditions, but I'm not going to hide behind them. I'm not going to use them to keep me safe in the relationship. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be out there. My stuff is going to be on the line. My heart's going to be on my sleeve. I'm going to be available to the degree that it can be. I'm going to be in the trenches with people. So that's counter to what a lot of advice that you would hear. And I could keep going, but those are some good answers.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a public service announcement. We're going to get right back into this show, but I wanted to ask you a question. If you have been listening to the show for any amount of time and you've picked up even one single tip, then I need your help. Get the word out. Tell people about resultsleader.fm. Share it on social media. Share it on your email. Share it anywhere. Hashtag resultsleaderfm. Now let's jump back into the interview. Jeff, why do results matter?
There's so many reasons. In no particular order. Why does the scoreboard matter at a sporting event? So you can know if you're winning or not, or you can know if you're behind or not. You can know how much time you have to catch up, where you stand. So we unpack it. It's orientation. It grounds us. It lets us know where we're at, right? Like no different than a directory at a shopping mall. If my wife's in, the holidays are coming up and I'm afraid that my wife's going to send me to the shopping mall to get one thing, right? And then I'm going to get home and she's going to say, you got the wrong thing and send me back. And I'm going to get lost in this maze. And so I always feel tranquil when I'm standing in front of the big directory and there's a big dot and a big arrow and it says, you are here. You follow? I could win or lose at the mall, but at least I know where I'm at right now. And so the results help us with orientation and stabilizing and grounding us in the here and the now, in the truth of the matter, right? Proof of concept. Results are important for proof of concept. If you're trying to get investors, if you're trying to get buyers, we talked about what leads people to adopt a new idea, a new innovation, a new way of doing or being. I talked about trialability, risk-free try, but the other is observability. Can I see the benefits of this living and breathing in somebody else? Like if I'm driving down the freeway, and I remember this specifically back when cell phones weren't super popular yet, they were coming on, cell phones, right? Now we can't live without them, right? But I think you're old enough to remember when we didn't have them at all, or when only doctors and drug dealers had them, right? So
and beepers.
Yeah, beepers. And you understand what I'm saying. I remember, I'll never forget, man, one time One time I was driving down the freeway and I saw a car broken down on the side of the road, and I was looking for the pedestrian. I was expecting to see what we always saw. A pedestrian was walking in front of them to get to the next call box, or they were walking behind. But wherever you break down on the freeway, there's a call box up there or a call box back there. And you go, hello, emergency road service. Yeah, I broke down, send somebody, blah, blah. This person was standing at the hood on the phone. They had a phone right there and they didn't have to walk at all. And right then I saw a result. Right? That the result was this person got help immediately without walking, without abandoning the car, could talk to somebody while looking at the car, wasn't stuck in a static position 50 feet up the road. When somebody saying, well, is it this or is it that? I don't know. The car's 50 feet down the road. With a cell phone, I saw immediately all these tangible results that came from having that phone that somebody that's in that situation that doesn't have the phone wouldn't have. So it led me to get my own. It was one of the reasons I got my own. So proof of concept and orientation, and a lot of people are also, lying to themselves, in their life, in their business, in their careers. It's very easy to imagine what you want and believe that you have it or you're getting it. And without measuring and keeping score, taking score from time to time, you're in jeopardy of continuing to lie to yourself. You follow? And so, the informal definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So if you never look at and evaluate the results that you have, you're tempted to stay insane. You never change your behavior if you never declare new results that you want. How would you ever declare new results that you want unless you were honest about the results you got? And there's probably more reasons, but those are some takes on the importance of results. Now, competing, winning, beating other people, trend setting, who dies with the most toys wins. That was a lot of big stuff in capitalistic 80s. You see these license plate, greed is good. And, whoever dies with the most toy wins. And, my chick's hotter than your chick and all that stuff. I don't care about all of that stuff.
Gordon Gecko.
Yeah. You understand, greed and ambition and material pursuits and all of that stuff, got popularized, and media popularizes it, and we're conditioned to believe that we don't have this, we're not a good person, etc. So, results matter, but what results are being measured? What matters most is what you're measuring, not the measures, but what's being measured, right? And a lot of people are measuring the wrong stuff. A lot of people are seeing what somebody else is doing and hold themselves accountable to what somebody else did, and that's not the right measure.
Well, how do you know then what the right measurement is?
It's an inside job. And by the way, going back to right or wrong, I never know what the right measurement is. I know which one I'm choosing to measure today. And it's in the process of following through on that, then I'm going to find out if it's right or wrong, good or bad, or needing to be calibrated, tweaked, and so forth. I want to stay away from rigid rights or wrongs or goods or bads, right? Like if I declare what my purpose is today, my purpose may change tomorrow, but at least I have an answer today. Right. And any day without an answer to that question might be a day out of integrity. Right. So I'm getting into my concepts in the integrity game. But how do you know? Don't look for right and wrong. Look for what feels good, what feels right, what lights you up, what puts a smile on your face, what gets you out of bed earlier, what has you staying later. Sometimes we're doing stuff, we're like, oh, I can't work another minute. Oh, I'm done. I can't put it. I'm done already. Well, you're doing the wrong thing then. We need to be doing the things in our life where we forget what time it is. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it's 9:00 at night and I haven't had lunch or dinner because I'm so engaged in what I'm doing. Right? When you lose
one more.
Yeah, when I can get one more, I can knock one more out, one more thing. Right? That's all right. I don't have to wake up till 6, which means if I go to bed by 1, I'll still get 4.5 hours, which is 3 full sleep cycles. So, all right, 20 more minutes on this. I'm going to write one more chapter. I'm going to create whatever it is. You understand what I'm getting at. So for me, how do you know if you're measuring the right things? I would start with engagement. Are you engaged? Are you ready to run through a brick wall to get what you're going after? Or is this just something you're doing to be done with it and unplug and go back to comfort pursuits like couch and TV and socializing and drinking or, tension relieving stuff, right? Or success pursuits, goals, ambition, growth, new levels, next levels, vulnerabilities, on and on. So it's different for every person, I think. And I have another answer to that question is, the tree of life. Why climb the tree of life, right? There's got to be good fruit up there, right? Because we could get splinters, we could fall, we could hurt our shoulder, we could get paralyzed. There's a lot of risks associated with climbing a tree at all. So it's got to be worth it. So I have a model that I introduced in my book, The Integrity Game, of 5 categories of fruit right? In the tree of life. 5, like talk about umbrella. These are umbrellas, over the specific, right? So like one category is identity, right? How do I know myself and how do other people know me? There was a point where I wasn't an author. I wanted to be an author, so now it's a measurable. Have I written a book or not? That's a result I can measure. And now, am I a one-time author or, I'm writing my 4th book right now. You follow? So author, but, dad, a parent. Do I want to be a donor? Do I want to be a patron? Do I want to be a marketer, an influencer? Do I want to be a volunteer? Do I want to be a leader? What are the identities that I want? So that's one category. How do I want to know myself and how do I want others to know me? Do I want to be a lecturer at the university? Do I want to be a professor? Do I want to, right? Those things feel good, right? They get achieving those identities gives us connection, gives us all the emotions that we want, right? Another category is peer group, right? You want to measure something? Measure who you're hanging out with, right? Make a list of all of the people that you willfully spend time with and that seek your time. And then next to their names, write what they do and write why you admire them if you do. And if you're not getting enough things written down, then you might want to hang out with different people. I want to decide who I hang out with. You follow? I want to be around people that I could learn with and from. I want to be around people that are better than me, that have done more than me, that make me feel uncomfortable because they show me how much more I can do or how much room I have to grow. I do not want to be hanging out with people that are negative, toxic, have no integrity, no relationship with their word, etc. So I don't need to judge people, but I want to be able to hang out with. So measurable results are my peer groups, my personal professional peer groups. Who am I hanging out with? I don't want to always be the smartest person in the room because if so, I'm in the wrong room, as you've probably heard that before. A third category, of measurable results could be, and this is a little bit harder, but there's ways to do it, is the emotions that we experience. Tony Robbins is very famous for saying the quality of our emotions is the quality of our life, where our quality of our life is the quality of the emotions that we experience. And research has shown throughout time, whether you're listening to Brian Tracy or Tony Robbins or Abraham Maslow, or Carl Jung, or, you follow whoever you're getting this information from, it's kind of universal. There's predictable emotions that we want to experience, the drivers of our inner psychology. What counts as emotional pleasure and pain for us? We want, to use Tony Robbins' terms, we want to feel certain. We want to feel significant. We want to feel entertained, excited, or variety. We want to feel love and connection. We want to feel growth, and we want to feel like we're making a difference. So I measure those things all the time. I remember sitting down with my wife and saying, hey, Marianne, to what degree does our marriage fulfill these 6 emotions? On a scale from 1 to 10, will you rate on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how much of these emotions you get because of our marriage? Not because of me, but the unit, and then you can, right? So I take people through this in coaching exercise. I have people look at what time it is in their emotional life, and then they can see where they're emotionally fulfilled or emotionally deficient, where they're in pain, where they're out of balance. And then there's always a relationship between that and the goals that they're pursuing, right? And that's another category, is measurable results. That's like, how many books do you want to write? How many people do you want to coach? How many, rooms do you want to fill? How many houses do you want to buy and sell? How many mouths do you want to feed, right? And it's not the same for everybody. Not everybody wants to feed people. That's not the only, how many products do you want to get to market? How many times do you want to be published? How many, whatever it is, right? How many, like my kid just turned 10. How many doors do you want to knock on Halloween? How full do you want the pillowcase with candy? It shifts. It's different for everybody. So we got peer group, we got measurable results, we've got identity, we've got emotions and focus. This is harder to measure, but at least it can be described as where do you want to focus your time, your talent, your energy, right? I have time, 24 hours in a day. I have talents, I have energies. Where do I want to focus that, right? I would like to measure the degree to which I choose where I focus my time, talent, and energy versus the degree to which those things are chosen for me. I watched my parents. I love my parents, and you can too, for $12.99, although that's kind of morbid because they're dead. Thank you for laughing. But my point is that I got a lot from my parents, but I also was bummed at the end when they didn't get to choose where they focused their time, their talents, and their energies. Their life was controlled by doctor's appointments, drugs, and television. That's it. They couldn't travel. They couldn't, they didn't have a lot of money. They couldn't enjoy, they couldn't make choices. Choices were limited. So I'm highly motivated to have choice on where I spend my time, talents, and energies. I want to, those are just some answers to what's measurable. What are good results? And I think those are some umbrella categories that people can look to.
Yeah, man. So what area of your business would you like better results?
What area of my business would I like better results? Operations. Operations. I'm a solopreneur. And you could probably tell I'm a storyteller. I'm a persuader promoter. You follow, I'm a people person. I'm an empath. I'm the first person in my family to cry when we're watching the movie, and people, they will recognize that there's an emotional moment in the movie. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, hold it together, hold it together. I feel all the heads turn from my family members. They're looking to me to see when I cry. They're like, oh, this is a moment that's kind of emotional. And they haven't felt it the way they know dad feels it. And they're looking at me to see when I cry. Right. So obviously I'm not the best at, like legal, compliance, operations, technical, funnels, and, disclaimers and all of the details. That's not my strength. I want better results in my business in the areas of something that an analytical, something that a behavioral style opposite from mine is better at. I'm doing okay. I've been coaching since before it was cool. I've been around the world, 4 continents, 12 countries. I've built it to, multiple 6 figures, several years running. I've withstood the COVID without applying for any money from the government. And I'm here and I'm producing, I'm doing all right, but I'm doing it all myself traditionally. And it's time to grow. And that's what the integrity game is for. Get a Clue is my brand, solopreneurs, micro business owners, service providers. But the integrity game, this has got potential to go bigger. And I'm going to need more talent than just myself. I can handle certain boxes on the org chart, but I need people with other instinctual talents to get it where it needs to go. So I would say operations, compliance, analytical stuff.
What results are you most proud of?
Professionally? Personally?
Anything you want to put out there?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, oh God, it's going to be hard to do this without getting emotional. On a day-to-day basis, you don't pay attention to it, but all of a sudden you realize how huge it is. I'm happily married, like to the same woman, like that I fell in love with when I was 19 years old. And marriage is tough. I mean, it is tough. And there's opposites attract. But now 2 people that do things totally different ways are living in the same house, fighting over how it's done. And, there's, division of labor and integrating ways of doing and being and all the different ways that you've disappointed each other over the year and all the dust under the rug. And it comes out in habits and the kids are watching and, you got to communicate. There's so much to be aware of. But I'm telling you right now, people ask me what I do for a living. And I say, I wake up every day and I figure out how I'm going to deserve my wife because I'm a lucky mofo that I've got Marianne by my side, rings around my Saturn. She's amazing. Keeping that together, convincing her to say yes, and then keeping her in the game with me and being who I need to be to feel like I deserve. That's heavy for me. And then you have the benefit of seeing this behind me on video, but my 3 kids.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday right now of this week. 48 hours from now, we're going to accompany our oldest son to a national letter of intent signing ceremony because he earned an athletic scholarship to our alma mater, San Diego State University. Wow. So our firstborn son is in the top 2% of all athletes in the nation by earning an athletic Division I baseball scholarship. But on top of that, it's even more rare, like lotto, because my wife and I met there. We fell in love there. I got 2 degrees from San Diego State. Now we have a little Aztec in the family. So, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. Everybody wants to go and get every parent wants their kid, not every, but to get an athletic scholarship or to get to college. And we feel like we won the lottery there. That's a lot of parenting. That's a lot of driving. That's a lot of coordinating. That's a lot of tolerating myopic parents that think their kids better than they are. And, the coaching, the politics, the money, the grind, the scheduling, the sacrifices, all of that, that's an amazing accomplishment. I'm tongue-tied about it. And my daughter is a sophomore, and as amazing it is that our older son is going to be a D1 college baseball player. My daughter, watch out, man. She's performing in all these plays. She's doing field hockey. She's a staff writer for the paper. She's, doing musical theater in theater troops, and she's just a doer, go-getter, an achiever. And, my youngest son, Brody, he's 10. He's still innocent. It's not like he's achieving all of these things that trigger the same type of pride, but he's on his way because he's just watching all this ambition all around him, and we take for granted, all the times that my kids have heard coaching sessions, heard seminars, webinars, heard, I'm talking motivation, accountability, and engagement all the time. And we've probably taken for granted how it's just an automatic for them. It's like blinking or breathing for them. And you look out in the world and a lot of kids are coddled and hovered and helicopter parented, or the parents will volunteer in the rec organization so they can control their kids' destiny. And then the kids end up thinking that they're better than they are. And then they get to high school where it's merit-based, and there's shock that sets in. And these kids have done a disservice. They don't know resiliency. They don't know failure. They don't know constructive criticism. They don't know hard love. They on and on and on. And I think we've got a lot of evidence. We got a lot of results that we're doing a pretty good job on the parenting. And I joke with Marianne. I tell her, I said, AJ, our oldest son, he was getting Santa Barbara, Irvine, Nevada, Washington State, Sacramento State. We're in San Diego, and he chose San Diego State. He chose to stay home. So I look at Marianne, I said, despite, how human we are and how many mistakes we made with the kid, because there's not a parent on the planet that hasn't made mistakes. We didn't screw up so bad that he wanted to leave town.
He stayed.
So it's not just that he made it to D1, got a scholarship, but he's staying home. That's an accomplishment. The kid I need to get out of here. I'm out of here. To me, that's an amazing achievement for Marianne and I as a unit. And our marriage is a success. The health and ambition and habits of our children, their resiliency, their tenacity, their unstoppability, that's a success. And then, of course, publishing books and speaking around the world and growing, from the worst economy since the Great Depression, convincing people to talk to me on those 2 comp sessions I told you about, and turn that into multiple 6 figures in my own lifestyle and the ability to set my own schedule so I can get my kids where they need to be and support my wife's corporate career and be a good teammate and partner. And we've created a life that we want. It's hard to explain, but it's wonderful. And it just motivates us to work even harder and on the new and next levels that are in front of us.
Any parting thoughts you want to share with the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
Integrity always wins. If anything's out of integrity, everything's out of integrity. A lot of people think they have integrity. It's just everybody else that sucks at it, right? If you're a leader, you got to stop putting the word integrity in your mission and your value statements and stop putting it in very nice cursive on the wall of the company if you're not looking within and retrofitting yourself. So, we didn't talk a lot about my book, The Integrity Game, but as a parting thought to leaders, I'm trying to make integrity something that's more easy and fun to look within, right? I want leaders to know that just like a bridge, a building, or a tunnel, without structural integrity, those things will crumble under pressure tests. And so will your high performance individuals, your high performance teams, and your company culture. Without structural integrity, without retrofitting those things from time to time, they will crumble under pressure tests. And integrity is not an adjective that we use to describe other people that don't have it. Or, when I'm doing this in public speaking, I'll say, how many of you have integrity, believe you have integrity? And 100% of the room will raise their hand. And then I'll say, keep your hand up, please, and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear not to shoot the messenger. So the Integrity Game book, I want to expand our understanding of what integrity is and get people, leaders especially, to look within so that they can help their teams with structural integrity that creates that motivation, that accountability, that engagement, that resilience, that, I want pressure tests to bounce off of me because I'm resilient. I've got integrity. I've got a strong foundation. I'm well made and I'm maintained and retrofit from time to time. Why don't we do that with our position descriptions, our teams, our goals, right? Like what's the on and on. So there's a 10-point model. The Integrity Game introduces a 10-point model that turns integrity from an adjective to a soft skill. And skills, what's the difference between a skill and a quality, a skill and a trait, or, a skill can be improved. Hearing is physiological, but listening is a skill. I can get better at listening. There's techniques, there's strategies, there's practices, there's habits I can develop to be a better listener. And I'm on a mission to make integrity the same thing. Integrity is something that we can increase, we can improve. And if I'm a leader, I can't just buy the Integrity Game and expect my team to do it. I got to be on the field playing the game. So I'm looking for not just gamers, but integrity gamers. I'm looking for leaders that want to play the Integrity Game, and I can keynote on it. I can lunch and learn around it. I can send books to the team. I can Zoom it, group coach it, train it, all of the different versions we can deliver Integrity Game and increase that ability to withstand pressure tests. Because every individual, every team, every organization gets pressure tests, but those tests are more easily withstood when there's an effort, an investment in the integrity.
Where can our listeners get more from you?
I'm easy to find. Type in Jeff Klubeck, a bunch of stuff will come up, right? The old website, getaclue.net, GETAKLU.net. You can check that out. We're building the new integrity game stuff, and it's not fully fleshed out yet. But any of the social media channels, there's Facebook or LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm not so much an Instagram person, but I've got a YouTube channel, Watch Get a Clue, all one word, WATCHGETAKLU. So if people just want to watch more video of content that I've put out there, but if you connect with me on social and send me a message, I'm pretty happy with what I've achieved, but I'm still reachable. I don't have teams of people checking my stuff. Like if you send me a message on social, it'll come to me and I will respond to it. And I'm grateful in advance if anybody wants to reach out. I'm looking forward to having a dialogue and seeing where it goes. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We will absolutely share links in the show notes. We've been talking to Mr. Jeffrey Klubeck. Get a clue. Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights with us. And thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. Another show is in the can.
That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.